All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that might sound a little unexpected. It's this new world where environmentalism and, get this, big business are starting to become allies. Seriously, we're seeing this massive shift in how the biggest companies on the planet are starting to think about, well, the planet.
I bet you know this logo, right? I mean, it's one of the most famous symbols in the world. But here's a question for you. What does it really stand for today? I think the answer is going to surprise you.
And there it is, right from the source. This idea that the WWF is just, a bunch of nice people saving cute, fuzzy animals. That's an old story. The mission today? It's on a completely different scale.
So they've gone way beyond the panda. What started out as a mission to save specific species has totally transformed. Now they're tackling these huge, complex systems. We're talking market forces, global trade, even the nitty-gritty economics of how conservation actually works.
And just to give you a sense of the scale, think about this. 5,000 employees, spread across 100 countries, 6 million members. They're running these massive projects in the Amazon, the Congo, Borneo, and they're working with a whole network of indigenous organizations. So you see, it's not just about the animals anymore. It's about entire landscapes, economies, and people's actual livelihoods. Okay, so this brings us to a really critical point, and it's a big one. Think about the most disruptive forces in business today. You're probably thinking technology, right? Or maybe globalization. Well, the argument here is that in the 21st century, the biggest game changers won't be any of those things. It's going to be climate change and the fact that we're simply running out of stuff.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Living in the dark ages. Because this isn't about charity anymore. It's not about a company trying to look good with some PR. For any smart company today, this is about pure survival. It's about protecting your supply chain, managing huge risks, and honestly, finding a way to stay ahead of the competition.
So what does this age of scarcity actually look like? Let's get real. Here's a number for you, 2048. What's that? Well, that's the year scientists predict all the world's major fisheries will be gone. Just gone. If we keep going at the rate we're going now? Okay, now think about this. 1 acre per second. That's how fast we're losing our forests. Every single second, another acre disappears. And this isn't just some sad story for the wildlife. That loss, that deforestation, it's responsible for something like 20% of all CO2 emissions on the planet. And here's a number that really puts our own consumption habits into perspective. 11. What's 11? It's the number of planets we would need if everyone on Earth consumed resources like the average person in the United States. 11 planets. And last I checked, we've only got one. And if you're thinking about the money, well, the economic cost is just mind-blowing. The Stern Review, which is a huge landmark report on all this, they estimated that the impact of climate change could cost somewhere between 5 and 20% of global GDP. Not once, every single year. Okay, I know, these are huge global numbers. They're almost impossible to really wrap your head around, right? So let's bring it way, way down. Let's talk about something most of us can relate to, a simple cup of coffee. Think about that latte you might have had this morning. What's in it? Coffee beans, milk, maybe some sugar, water. You got the paper cup, the lid, the little sleeve. Seems simple, right? But behind every single one of those things is this enormous hidden journey. So, you add it all up. The water to grow the coffee beans, the water to grow the sugar cane for the sugar, the water for the cow that made the milk, the water to make the paper cup. You ready for this? That one latte you're holding, it has a water footprint of 208 liters. 208 for one drink. And look, this isn't just a coffee thing. This hidden footprint is in pretty much everything we buy and use. So let's take a look at another product pretty much everyone knows. Okay, so how about this one? A 1-liter bottle of Coke. How much water do you think it takes to make that? Around 250 liters. That's the kind of crazy math that literally keeps the chairman of Coca-Cola up at night. He's not just worrying about sales, he's worrying about whether there will even be enough water in the future to make his product. So if the problem is baked into these giant global supply chains, what do? Where's the best place to jump in and actually make a difference? Well, the answer is kind of brilliant. You don't fight the market, you use it. And this is where you have that aha moment. You just have to follow the money. Look at this. The amount of aid money from NGOs and the World Bank, it's that small bar. Now look at the other bar. That's private money, private capital, flowing into the developing world. It absolutely dwarfs the aid money. That is where the real power is. That's the lever for change. So it all comes down to this, right?
If you really want to change the world, where do you focus your energy? Where's the single best place to push to make these giant global systems actually move? And the answer is so much more focused than you'd think. It's not about trying to change the minds of 3 billion shoppers one by one. And it's not even about the billion farmers and fishers out there. Nope. The sweet spot, the real target, is the 300 to 500 big companies that control something like 70% of what we all buy. You get them to change, you change everything.
And just in case you think this is some radical fringe idea, it's not. This is straight from the Harvard Business Review. They're saying this isn't a job for a philanthropist anymore, it's a job for a strategist. It's just smart business. It's about risk, it's about opportunity, and it's about making sure your company is still around in 20 years.
So let's bring this all home. What does this mean for you? Doesn't matter if you're going into business or science or government, this new reality changes the game for everyone. This is about the legacy you're going to create, and it's all about your ability to connect the dots.
At the end of the day, it's a total mindset shift. We have to throw out that old way of thinking, that the environment is just some side project for corporate social responsibility. The new reality is simple. It's at the absolute core of business strategy. It's about risk, it's about survival, and it's about success.
So here's the bottom line. The biggest challenge we face is also our biggest opportunity. The world desperately needs people who can connect these dots, people who can understand what's happening in a village in the Amazon and connect it to a decision being made in a boardroom in New York and connect that to what you and I put in our shopping carts. Those are the people who are really going to change things. The only question left is, will you be one of them?